Back in the 1980s when I had my public access show, we used to do movie reviews and stuff like that. And we got in contact with some of these companies. Some of them, they were nice with us. They worked with us. Perfect example, New Line Cinema happened to be one of them. Others just really disregarded us. They're like, "Who the hell are you?" and stuff like that. In time, some of them have changed their opinion about us and started to send us stuff like what New Line used to send. New Line used to send me at least every quarter. They would send me a new 3/4 inch tape, which would have several movies that basically they would like me to review, to look at. They would send me tickets to screenings. They would send me POP media press kits to me. And, I would review it. Some movies I agreed with, some I didn't agree with. But they took it. They took those reviews. There were situations, that they told me, said, "Well, what did you like about it?" They would ask. They used to ask, what did you think about this? And I would give my 2 cents on them. They would tell me, and they would thank me. And these were the smaller studios that did this, none of the bigger Hollywood studios. But now those smaller studios are bigger studios these days. But in the last decade or so, we've been seeing certain critics, certain sites that, they've been giving good reviews to movies that just are utterly garbage. Or video games, or any other media source on there. You saw what's been going on with as a heel versus babyface, with basically the situation that he didn't like the pronouns in the video game. Why are they in there to begin with? Most gamers don't care about those things in their games. I happen to be someone who stopped playing video games for a bit now, because there hasn't been a good game out to begin with in the last year or so. It's been all garbage. And some of it is because of the politics that they've interject into the games. And this goes same thing for movie reviews. Politics have been thrown in here. But now, according to multiple sites, we're finding out that, and I wouldn't doubt this because, we've heard other situations of gifting and stuff like that, that money is changing hands for favorable movie reviews.
And they come back covered in blood. But they felt clean. Now, why did they feel that way, Major? Because they were clean.
Listen. You smell something?
When everything breaks at the seams and you feel like you're losing belief. Damn it, you just gotta stay strong when it all falls apart and goes wrong. When you feel let down and so lost, and it feels like you can't hold on. Well, damn it, you just gotta stay strong, 'cause sometimes things go wrong, and one day everything's gone, but you can make it out and move on. So damn it, you just gotta stay strong.
Rotten Tomatoes, the problems that are going to crop up on this. Now, the thing about it is, these are allegations that are coming across. There is a long article from Vulture. If you take a moment, go read it, check it out on there. We're going to take the article from Screen Crush, which is a little bit more simplified on there. But it gives the overall view of what's been going on. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at this. I'm not surprised at all because you've heard situations. You know, you've seen some of the YouTube content creators that used to be hard on some of these movies, and then suddenly they turn around and then basically they give favorable reviews because, you know, if they don't give a favorable review, they don't get invited to the next event, or basically, you know, they don't get called upon to get screeners or anything of that nature. But that's wrong. That's totally wrong. You should know. You should, as a corporation, a movie, you know, a movie production house, if your movie didn't do well and didn't make money, why didn't it? You know, this is what your investors are going to want answered. Why didn't they? You think the investors are going to say, oh, well, I've lost $100,000 on this movie, and well, here's another $100,000 for the next one. That's not how it works. If you lost $100,000, $1 million, $10 million on a movie, $200 million, which we're seeing that from some movies that are out, especially a lot of the Disney films. You know, you're expecting Disney to lose out, God, over $1 billion this year on 2023 alone. What does that tell you? That tells you people don't want their product, not the product that they want. If you're selling a clothing line, and you know you have it out, you put the window, people walk by, and you're like, I don't like that. I really don't. I don't like how it's sewed. I don't like the color and stuff like that. Do you attack them for that? Maybe you should listen. Listen to your customers. Listen to your viewers. Listen to your hard critics that are giving you those reviews that, you know, tell the movie's really, really bad. But now what you're doing is you're throwing money under the table to get better reviews.
I see. Well, perhaps one of these would refresh your memory, eh?
Let's read into this from Screen Crush. Company allegedly paid critics for Rotten Tomatoes reviews. Now, understand, these are allegations. This is where the Federal Trade Commission probably needs to come in at this point. Because basically, you're sending out reviews. This is similar like what's happened on Amazon. You got reviews that are paid for, or fake reviews that are in there that's telling people this product is good, and the product happens to be awful. We've seen this many times on Amazon. But let's read into this. If you use Rotten Tomatoes to decide whether to see a movie, and especially if you use it primarily by glancing at film ratings without digging deeper into the individual reviews that make up that rating, say there's a new article out that you definitely should read. It's called Decomposition of Rotten Tomatoes. It details how studios and publicists have essentially gamed Rotten Tomatoes system to ensure that their movies get the best possible scores. In one striking example described in a piece, a publicity firm tried to boost the score of an independent film without a distributor. 2018's Ophelia, starring Daisy Ridley, by recruiting obscure, often self-published critics who are nevertheless part of the pool tracked by Rotten Tomatoes. Several anonymous critics told journalist Elaine Brown the company in question pays them $50 or more for each review. The piece does make it clear that these critics were told that they were free to write whatever they like, but super nice one.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Often agreed not to publish bad reviews on their usual websites, but to instead quarantine them on a smaller blog that Rotten Tomatoes never sees. Whenever this tactic was effective or not, Ophelia's Rotten Tomatoes store did eventually flip up a rotten 46% to barely 62 fresh. The movie was ultimately acquired for distribution and released in the United States. That might be the most eyebrow-raising example in Vulture's article, but the whole thing is full of other ways more sketchier than others that the film companies seek to goose their Rotten Tomato ratings however they can.
I fucking knew it! Oh!
The main way they do it is by controlling which critics see which movies and when, in order to ensure that a movie's score is as high as possible for as long as possible, especially around the time when a blockbuster pre-sale is about to launch. For example, the piece that notes the first batch of reviews for Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania that came out of its earliest reviews from critics gave it Rotten Tomatoes of a 79% score, just as tickets for the Marvel film was going on sale. By the time the movie opened in theaters and more critics had seen it, the rating dropped to 46%. After a strong opening weekend, Quantumania precipitously dropped at the box office. I can't recall ever offering money to review a film on Rotten Tomatoes, and obviously if I had, I would have said no, but certainly received many emails from publicists through the years trying to get me and no doubt other critics to write positive things about their clients' work and hopefully to post those nice things on Rotten Tomatoes. That is a publicist's job, to publicize their movies and try to get the most positive coverage for their clients possible. So I think the ultimate takeaway from Vulture's piece, it should be less about one company that was allegedly doing some shady stuff, but more of a reminder that Rotten Tomato scores do not exist in a vacuum and that users of the site should take those scores with simply objective truth. I always encourage people to actually read reviews, not just because they should know who they are, trusting to tell them if a film is good or bad, but because reading a good criticism expands the experience of going to the movies and enhances our appreciation of the cinema. Rotten Tomatoes can still be a useful place to find reviews in one place, but countless numbers of quasi-anonymous sources can never replace the work of good knowledge critics who you trust and enjoy. And this is including content creators. We as content creators have been criticized left and right by many film studios. And basically, they don't like us talking about their product. Why? Why do they don't like talking about it? Perfect example, Ahsoka right now. Ahsoka's failing. It's garbage. You know, this comes from a fan of Clone Wars, and I liked Rebels. Not completely, but I liked it, especially when they added Ahsoka to the lineup. And also Vader and some of the other twists of the Rebellion. When it ended, I was like, oh, they need to continue this on this particular story on separately outside of the Rebellion. You know, to the point, because I like Thrawn. I love the character Thrawn. And that should have been moved on. What they're doing now is taking Heir to the Empire, mixing it in with Rebels. And that is totally garbage. I mean, oh my God. I've watched up to this point, depending on when this aired, 4 to 5 episodes of this series. And it's the only person that's on there that's, if any, decent acting on there is the late Ray Stevenson, who I loved his freaking his Punisher, the one that he was in, and it was fantastic. That, you know, people are getting a second look at. Now, I don't have anything against Rosario Dawson. I don't have anything else against cast members. What I'm upset about is how this is written. It's very vaguely written. It's just, oh my God. I mean, this is not Star Wars. It's not Star Wars. This is the disgust that we have. And the thing about it is, Disney doesn't want you to know this. Disney has been losing out, especially Loki TV series, the WandaVision series, the Boba Fett, the Mandalorian just recently are more up on there, and the She-Hulk, and many other series that have come across. They've come across very political, very, I could say wokish, but I'm not going to say that. But I'm going to say that it's poorly written. Understand that. This is, and you laugh at what's going on the strike of the Writers Guild. They want to put more writers in the writers' room. Do you know what kind of havoc that is? We already have problems with this from the perspective that, the writers that are in there now don't know what the fuck they're doing. Let's put it in that perspective. This is when you hire cheap, when you hire people that are inexperienced, people that don't understand science fiction, who have not written science fiction. You get people that may have written TV shows and stuff, but they haven't gone into the realm of science fiction, horror, fantasy. That's why, we've had all these failures. There was a time Disney, was king of the hill at points with their animation, with their TV series. They worked it out. Some things didn't do well. Some things did fantastic. I grew up with the wonderful world of Disney when I was a kid. And they've had so many mini series, shows, movies that they progressed on there, nature shows, and they were really good. And guess who introduced it every week? Walt. Walt introduced it on there, and that was pushed on later on when new CEOs came in and introduced, before Wonderful World of Disney was canceled. Now, they look at it, some of these places, they want to pay for good reviews. That's not the way to go. If something is wrong, listen to me, if something is wrong, you need to fix it. Remember the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? People were criticizing it. What did the producers do? They went back, listened to the content creators, they listened to the fans, and said, that Sonic looks like shit. It doesn't look like Sonic. What did they do? Go back, redid it, and what did they do? 2 hits. They're looking at a 3rd movie now. A 3rd film in the series.
He's right. Do you know that?
This is what happens when you have interaction with your customer and your reviewers. Don't be afraid of bad reviews. It's going to happen. You're not going to appease to everyone. But listen to the reviews. Are they legitimate? Or are they just politically driven? And some people say a lot of the bad reviews are politically driven. No, not really. Not a lot of them. There are some out there. There are. And most of those are from the better movies that are out there. There are people who criticize Alita Battle Angel. But Alita Battle Angel was a fantastic movie. There are some great shows out there, great TV series, great movies that didn't get the light of day because they didn't get advertised properly, because people just didn't pay attention to what some of the fans and critics were saying. And then there are movies that got pushed out and TV series that got pushed out, and they were warned, and we're talking warned in advance. They say, nah, the series is not going to be like that. A la He-Man. They said, no, it's not going to be about Teela. It's not going to be about Teela. But what was the series about? Teela. Don't lie to your fans. Don't lie to your reviewers. You want that criticism. You want to be able to know what is wrong with a movie. Why didn't I not make $100 million? Why didn't I make $1 billion? And that's the other half, is that the greed that's going on in Hollywood these days. They want a movie to make $2 billion, $1 billion. They want to make that. But not realizing is that the small film like Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom didn't cost much. That was like 15 million, 20 million on there. And they're going to be well over $200 million in the box office. They already hit Latin America and doing fantastic. It's these smaller films that can make you money. Look back to Blair Witch. Look how much Blair Witch made. A movie that was like $30,000, $50,000, I think. Max $100,000. Let's say $100,000 basically it cost to make. They made over $200 million. That's money in the pocket. Not every film is going to make $1 billion. You know, you want $1 billion on there, but the thing about it is, you can still make money. Instead of one movie to make $1 billion, $2 billion, how about 10 movies that will make you $1 billion or $2 billion combined together? Listen to the critics. Listen to the content creators. You know, don't pay them money. You know, if you want to shower them with information, you know, give them a t-shirt or two, but long as you tell them, it says, listen, this is not for a favorable on there. We're just sending you these press kits to advertise to you on there to see our movie and let us know what your thoughts on it. But who am I to say but a man with the show?
Thanks for watching. Before you go, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and share this video. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, as it helps us increase the reach of our channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help fund this and many other channels. If you wish to help grow this channel by financial support, you have two ways. There are two links below. One link will send you to a direct pay site where you can make a donation. The second link will send you to our gear store where you can purchase t-shirts, mugs, and other specialty items. Any additional discounts will be listed on the main page. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.